Good afternoon. If you're on the East Coast, good afternoon, and welcome to our corecubed monthly marketing webinar. Today's webinar is about planning your holiday marketing and starting now to do it, because if you don't start now, you're going to be behind the curve instead of ahead of the curve. But we have some great information to share with you today. First, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. This is being recorded, this webinar is being recorded, and I have everyone on mute. So if you would like to ask a question, and we would encourage you to think about questions and ask questions, you may do so by accessing the GoToMeeting box on the right-hand side of your screen, and you may type in your question, and we will, if we do not get to them by the end of this webinar, because we have a lot to cover today, more than we usually do in an hour, because there is a whole lot to talk about. So please ask your questions, and thank you for joining us. We do know your time is valuable, and we certainly appreciate your being with us today. So my name is Marilee Orsini, and I am the owner and the president and CEO of corecubed, which is a marketing company that specializes, because of our unique expertise in home care and aging care services. And I am joined today with two people who know a lot about marketing and a lot about aging care. And the first is Amy Selly. She is one of our co-managing directors. Amy, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here.
And Amy has been, as you can see, in marketing for aging care services a fairly long time. She looks a lot younger than she must have started when she was very young, but
That's right.
she has a great wealth of knowledge and experience, and we do love tapping her knowledge and experience, and also it's a pleasure working with her on a regular basis. Our second co-managing director is Marissa Snook, and Marissa has been working directly with our most clients, which is our specific marketing program for home care. She has been working with our most clients directly since 2007 when we started that program. So just her experience in working with those agencies on a day-to-day basis for so many years now has resulted in her bringing a lot of information also to this marketing of home care. So Marissa, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Absolutely.
Do you know what we're talking about, the holidays, because there are some unique opportunities that do present themselves at the holidays. And in January, it's no secret that senior care searches go up on Google. So people, after they have visited home, discover things in the home that they might not have been aware of just when they're talking on the phone or chatting with their families, even on Skype. So they really do discover care needs when they visit that they were unaware of. And the other thing is, neighbors tend to be more agreeable and convivial over the holidays, and so they may stop by and visit other neighbors that they would not necessarily stop by and see, and they might discover something in the home amiss and discuss it with family and request that there be some more help. Also, a lot of times when you have spouses covering for someone who has a dementia specifically, or has a physical impairment that is not allowing them to be as active as they want to, and they might not want to share that with their family. So it's possible that some of those care needs will be discovered, and we see that repeatedly. It's something that does happen, and I'm sure you all understand that. But what the idea is that you need to prepare now in order to be ready for those opportunities that do present themselves over the holidays. So one of the things, we're not going to talk a lot about staffing, but the other crucial component, not just marketing for clients, but as you're marketing for clients, what you have to have the staff in order to cover those the new cases, if you were to get cases referred to you over the holidays. And you also have to cover your existing clients. And so you really do need to increase your recruitment efforts now, because you really have to identify pretty early who wants to work for the holidays and who does not want to work for the holidays. And you have to have staff ready and available to not only take on new clients, but also to cover the clients that you currently have. So that communication about the holidays needs to start really in September. And you really, if you wait, then it's too late, because of just the time it takes to bring new people on with the screening and the vetting and the training and the orientation in terms of what specific clients they want to work with, and that all takes a lot of time. So that's another thing that you have to do now, in addition to thinking about your marketing. So your actual marketing efforts for the holidays, they should launch in mid-November and they should continue throughout December. So in order to be ready for that, this is the thing that you have to start now. You know, we got a lot of questions about, before this webinar, things that were important to you and things that you wanted to learn about. And one of the things that the answers to the questions of what can I do and how can I do it better has to do with planning and implementing, so that you do make your marketing efforts a component of the business that takes precedence, and realize that you do have some dates coming up that you could really capitalize on some of your opportunities. One of the things that we suggest is that you create a specific design that incorporates your logo and also incorporates something about the holidays. And you have lots of opportunities to use this design in a lot of different ways. And not only does having one design help in terms of using that one design, so that you have a holiday design, and it does become something that that people start to notice and recognize. But the other thing is the results from using multiple channels. By that I mean doing different things are far greater than just doing one thing. So if you, for instance, are sending an e-greeting or an e-newsletter out over the holidays, then also incorporating your social media images and your posts and some personal notes and different kinds of things. The more channels that you use focused on one specific thing, then the better your results are shown to be. Now, one of the opportunities over the holidays also is presentations, and there are some specific things that happen over the holidays that you have an opportunity to talk about that will generate interest that might not have been generated before. Marissa, do you want to talk a little bit about some of these holiday presentations that are so impactful in the communities?
Absolutely. You know, there's just a lot of questions that people start wondering about when they realize that there's a care need present. There's just a lot to filter through. And some of these ideas listed here have to do with just, you know, how to include a senior in holiday activities, and how do you make the holidays special for a senior. So besides the caregiving questions, there's those sorts of presentations that you could make that would get a lot of notice.
And I think one of the bigger things too is, if you're doing a holiday presentation, you have the opportunity to use your cross-channel marketing for those holiday presentations. So you're not only giving the presentation, but you also have the opportunity to use social media, to use traditional media, to use some collaboration or coordination with other agencies that might be in your geographic area, might be interested in providing some presentations or providing some information. And one of the bigger things I continue to see in this home care market is the referral sources still do not know the specifics about home care. What does Medicare cover? What does Medicaid cover? What is private pay home care? When is someone best referred to for that, and what's the best thing to do. So that's another way that you can get people's attention with these presentations. Is it's another opportunity to educate people about the home care that is available, and the ways that you can help the families and your referral sources clients, the way that you can help them over the holidays. Now, Marissa,
I think you make a good point, Marilee, about using these for the referral sources. I think we often are so focused on marketing to the consumer that you forget that you can market to the consumer through the referral sources, and sort of cut your marketing time down substantially.
now, one of the things that does work over the holidays, we do not normally recommend mailing to a psychodemographic, consumer psychodemographic, because we don't see results on that. However, and Marissa, I'm going to let you talk about this because you love this area, but it does work over the holidays. Do you want to talk about why?
Absolutely. Well, and you mentioned, Marilee, that people start noticing care needs over the holidays, and that's part of it. But when you think about if you do a direct mailing to a set of people in specific territory, you can target them by age, by net worth. You can even, in many cases, target them by senior interests. So you send your mailing to them. It's sitting on their table over the holidays. The adult child sees it amongst the piles of mail there. And you tell a story through these cards. You don't want to just send one. You send them over October, November, December, or November, December, January, so that they start recognizing your name and have a higher chance of actually seeing those cards on that table. And it's going to pique their interest. If it's beautifully designed and it has something that really speaks to them at that time with the care needs, it's going to get their attention.
The media is particularly interested also about activities for seniors over the holidays, and you not only can you get attention for some of the same topics we talked about for the presentations, but also if your agency is doing anything that's media worthy, if you pick a charity and your agencies are donating to that or doing something specific for that, or if you have some specific activity to work with your clients to make their holidays more enjoyable, then the newspapers are always interested in human interest stories, and specifically over the holidays when you've got such high emotional levels anyway, it's a wonderful opportunity to do that. Also,
especially if you can throw in a local angle to those media inquiries, then you can definitely get your article placed.
Yeah, and I would add to that, not just newspapers, but radio and television. The media are looking for holiday-angled stories, and like Marilee mentioned, human interest stories, and it's a chance to position yourself as an expert on some of the things that we've mentioned, like incorporating seniors into your holiday celebrations, and how to deal with loss that they might feel or depression at the holidays.
Yeah, those morning news shows are great for this sort of topic.
And then you need to think about your gifts, and you should really start thinking now about the gifts that you are going to give to your clients, and those should be different gifts than you are giving to your referral sources, and those should be different than you give to your caregivers and your office staff. So everyone expects to be remembered in some way over the holidays, and there are ways to give gifts to your referral sources and to your clients that's a gift that keeps on giving. So something that is not just a one-time usage like Mrs. Fields cookies or something, but we do an incredible wall calendar specific for a senior that is beautiful photos and then wonderful little motivational kinds of call outs that go along with those photos. So it's really time to think about that as well.
Yeah, and I think as we're talking today, the big takeaway to keep in mind is that the holidays are a very relatable time of year. It's a natural time for people to reach out to others, and so sometimes where we feel as sales and marketing people that we're looking for reasons to communicate with people, all through this holiday span, you've got reasons to communicate with people and share information with them that's very natural. And so why not take advantage of that?
And if you've planned ahead and if you've gotten your design down that you're going to use and the variety of ways it can be used over the holidays, then that is something you can actually use that design year after year. It doesn't have to be something that you just use one year. You can bring that back up for the holidays and continue to use it. So you're not really wasting your efforts. The other thing that you can continue to use year after year is if you actually start your plan and you realize that that in order to take advantage of December and January and the opportunities that those present, that you need to start now. So this is really just this is a checklist for you all. By the way, we do record these. We do not send the PowerPoint out, but we will post this on our corecubed events page as soon as this webinar is over. So you can share that link with anyone on your staff that you would like to have listen to this webinar. So starting in September, Marissa, you are the one that is just the diva of getting things done and implemented. Do you want to talk about September?
Planning out the staffing is definitely something that has to happen as soon as possible because Marilee mentioned it does take some time to get everybody situated and ready to staff, and you don't want to be waiting for that last minute and sending untrained or partially trained, partially prepared caregivers in to staff. And of course you're going to have some holiday vacations that you're going to deal with your regular caregiving staff, so making sure that you have planned for that you know that you're going to have enough caregivers to staff. It's so important to plan way ahead of time. And make sure you've got that budget ready for all of the marketing needs that you're going to be designing. I think sometimes we tend to sort of let the holidays fall off the wayside because you've used all of your marketing dollars elsewhere. So make sure that that's part of the budget. And communicating with staff about the holiday plans, that kind of goes in with finding out what everybody's schedule is.
And I think, there are caregivers who like to work holidays because they don't have family in town. And then there are caregivers who absolutely know they're not going to work over the holidays because they want to spend time with their families. And then the same thing with clients. It also gives you a reason to communicate with clients and their families to start talking about the holiday plans early. So not that people don't change plans, but it gives you if you start now in September and think of it as your attack plan for the holidays, then you're not going to be blindsided when you get to December and you don't have enough staff, or you're all of a sudden surprised by somebody that might want time off. Or oftentimes clients want more staffing over the holidays because if a family is providing some of the care, that family member may also have other responsibilities over the holidays, and they'll have less time to spend with their elderly family member. So then we move into October. So now in September, you have things planned, and you are ready then to move into October. You are actively recruiting people. You're actively interviewing in October. This is also when you ought to be ordering your gifts. You ought to be getting your lists together, and you need to have some type of a design to be used for a holiday marketing. We talk a lot about branding, and Amy, I'm going to let you talk about branding some because it's so important, but extending your brand can be done so very well if you really think about all the different ways that design can be used. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, Amy?
Sure. I think the holidays are a time to show what the personality is of your company. And that personality is really a big part of your brand. So incorporating a holiday design that includes your logo but has a little more fun with it, making it, adding some holiday elements to that. But also the holidays are a time to show the personality of your company, and parties that you might be having internally, and posting photos on social media. People are interested in businesses who have real people behind them who have a personality and aren't afraid to show that. And I think that's a great way to extend your brand. And it goes back to that theme that this is a time of year where people feel comfortable relating with each other. And so you should be doing that through your holiday marketing activities. That reinforces who you are as a company.
In addition to the calendars, which are a wonderful gift for older people, and particularly if the calendar is sized so that it does fit inside the cabinet, I just want to mention refrigerator magnets and how important making certain that you are distributing refrigerator magnets when you're doing home visits is. And if you around the holidays is a great time when you make those visits to make certain that you are also using those refrigerator magnets. And that just means it's a quick way for someone to find your number, and it will be in front of all. So, and then the other thing I want to suggest when you are thinking about ordering gifts is to think about what types of things, as I said earlier, might have keep on giving. One of the things that preventing falls and having night lights, you can actually get a branded night light for your agency. That's a gift that we have seen that works really well, because then you're lighting the way from the client's bedroom to bathroom specifically, is a positive. And the other thing that has worked really well is poinsettias for the holidays, so that it's a very bright, beautiful flower, as you know, and if you are delivering those to your clients with a card and also your agency information on it, those live for 6 to 8 weeks. So you've got some opportunities to bring some cheer to your clients through some of these gifts. So when you're ordering these gifts in October, you really need to think about what specifically is going to make my clients happy, to make them think about me, and to make them think about me ongoing, not just once. Then we get into November, and when you're in November, you're very close to the holidays. So, I worked in a home care agency for 17 years, and I remember those holidays and how stressful they were for everyone in the office. So this pre-planning is so incredible. And this is when, if you've planned well and you have picked your list and you have made your designs, then you can start sending out your communication. You can start pitching the media in November, because if you're doing presentations and if you have some articles to write, and you can start pitching the media if your agency is doing any kind of activities that are media worthy. That first postcard should probably go out in November. And one of the other things that we've seen is that if you send your holiday card out and make it a thank you Thanksgiving card instead of a holiday Christmas Hanukkah card, then you will beat the rush in terms of having your communication stand out. So, Amy or Marissa, do you want to talk any more about your November activities?
I think, Amy, didn't you do some research about the Thanksgiving being the highest traveled time of the year, according to AAA?
Yeah, Thanksgiving, that weekend is the most traveled holiday, and so there's quite a bit of people actually, visiting family and coming back from Thanksgiving, maybe having recognized a care need for a family member. So having your presence high in social media and with maybe a Thanksgiving card that's still on someone's desk right after Thanksgiving is really important. Reaching out to referral sources at Thanksgiving time. When we're talking holidays, you've got opportunities at both Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's to be reaching out to people because, at each checkpoint, they have seen family or, as Marilee mentioned earlier, people are relating to each other. Neighbors are stopping by to check on neighbors and bringing them gifts. So at each of those checkpoints, you have to think about, I want to make sure that I'm visible on multiple channels at those times.
Then we get to December. And so all of the things that we are talking about for the holidays really have to be done fairly early in December because by the time the holidays get here toward the end of the month, that week around the 25th and then between the 25th and New Year's, hardly anything happens. So it's sort of the relief after the holidays. So in December, you're going to be making certain that you have the activities planned for the agency. If there are any, again, that are visually newsworthy, like wearing Santa hats as you're making visits or having any type of special charity event that you are, bringing gifts to homebound elderly or giving presentations on the variety of topics that might be of interest over the holidays. So you've got to get those releases out and follow up and talk to your lifestyle and living editors. Again, as Amy said, at all the media, not just the newspapers. And then if you're doing your direct mail and you've done one before Thanksgiving, then you need to send 2 more so that they get there over the 25th. Or if you haven't done the Thanksgiving mailing and you're waiting, then you can do 2 in December and 1 in January. Everything that you present to the public should have a visual holiday feel to it. So all your social media, anything that you're doing, your website, any visibility that you have digitally with your agency name on it should incorporate that holiday graphic that you've put together. And then if you waited to send your holiday card in December and didn't do it in November, then it's time to do that. And let me just mention for the holiday card, that holiday card ought to be branded to your agency as well. The design that we've talked about, you can use that on your holiday card, and you really ought to hand address those holiday cards, and you ought to choose a stamp that matches with your design so that when that card comes, it isn't just in the stack of all the other Hallmark kind of cards. It really does stand out. And
it feels personal.
Yes, very personal, and lots of things to blog about over holidays. And you can use your visual on your blogs as well. But lots of things to blog about.
If I can go backward to a couple months, just for a second, we did have one client who did their caregiving staff dressed up over Halloween, and they would post a picture of a caregiver dressed up, and got a ton of social media response because of that. It was, people just enjoyed seeing that again, that participation and that personality behind the company.
Well, and some agencies actually pick an event over the holidays that they repeat annually. And so, again, it comes from early planning, but if you have an identified event, and, for instance, a homebound senior event with, perhaps low-income seniors who might not have family that would visit them over the holidays. But if your agency has an event or a charity or something that they've picked to work on every year, then you can build on that each year too. You can, once you create all of your material, your media releases and all those, you can reuse those year after year. It doesn't have to be just a one-time or one-year event. You can really use those things over and over again. You can also take your holiday theme blogs and you can reuse those over and over again. Obviously, you can't reprint them exactly the way they are, but or repost them exactly the way they are, but you can certainly take that information, add to it, update it, and reuse it. Now we're in January. Phew, we just made it through the holidays. We all survived, and you're not done yet. So, Marissa, you want to talk about January?
Well, from an SEO perspective, it's very interesting. If you're a nerd like me, you can go to google.com/trends, and you'll see every October, November, December, searches for home care terms go down, 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 hitting bottom around December. And then January, they just skyrocket up. Because over the holidays, that's when you're sending out your material saying, we're here, by the way, we're here. But in January, people are going, where are you? Where are you? And they're going online and they're searching for you. So make sure in January that you have a social media presence, you have blogs up, you have new content on your website. Do whatever you can to help people find your website in January with those care questions that they have.
And you can also you can communicate with your referral sources because they're going to also be getting more questions about home care in January. So I mean, it's not just consumer marketing; it's also referral marketing. And something that I have grown fond of talking about lately is that with digital technology and digital marketing, that distinction between marketing for consumers and marketing for referral sources is really not there anymore in a lot of instances, because when someone is searching, it is now proven that they, for the most part, are going to go online first. So adding fresh website content, making certain that you are dealing with some of those issues that family has discovered while they're there. Did the warning signs that they felt they saw, were those warning signs that care might be needed? What if you identified those and you said to your mother, said, hey, I don't want a stranger in my home, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want any help. So I mean, there's overcoming objections to having care in the home. So there's lots of opportunities in January to take advantage of that uptick in those online searches. Now, this is a little pitch for working with an expert marketing agency as opposed to doing it yourself. And I would just say that one of my words of advice lately to home care owners and home care administrators, people who run home care agencies, is that the marketing that a professional company like corecubed does is done professionally, and we basically know how to do everything. We know how to find the right lists if you want to do consumer marketing. We know the messages that work well for the direct mail. We have people on staff that can hand address and can hand stamp envelopes, and that can all be coordinated ahead of time. We have excellent writers who also are experienced in aging and home care, and that can write content and that can create blog posts. We are experts in posting social media and in understanding what works best in the social media range. We have content that we can make videos out of so that you're educating in terms of some of those questions that we talked about in terms of things that people might be interested in over the holidays. We know how to write press releases and how to get results. And we also know how to help you create dashboards so you can measure success. So you can see how much money did I spend for my marketing and what results did I get from it. I will tell you that when I had my home care agency, I picked up a client. It was right before the 25th of December. It's actually on the 23rd, I believe, that they called and asked me for assistance with both of their parents who were in an assisted living facility, and they needed 24/7 care. And I'm going to talk about this, but I'm going to do a caveat in a minute about this. So they needed 24/7 care. Their caregiving plans had fallen through. They had hired independent caregivers, and the adult children had holiday plans with lots of people coming in, and they could not provide the supplemental care that was needed since their independent caregivers had decided they weren't going to be there. And we staffed that with the caveat that we're not simply going to staff for the holidays. If we do this, then you have to continue to use us as your solution to care, which they agreed to. And we kept that client. It was 3 shifts, 24 hours a day with 2 people, so it was more than just revenue for one, for about 10 years. And that client alone paid for any of the holiday marketing that we could have ever done. So my caveat also is, though, make certain when you are taking inquiries over the holidays that you are not simply supplementing the private independent staffing that someone is doing, and that they just want to use you for the holidays, because that is not a profitable venture. You really have to talk with people who, when they inquire about services over the holidays, and make certain that they are going to use your agency ongoing, that it's not going to be simply filling in over the holidays, because you will not make any money if you are simply supplementing that independent caregiver either on the weekends or on the holidays, and not getting any more business from it.
I'd like to make one more comment on this slide, and that is that the holidays are the most wonderful time of the year, but we all know that from a career perspective and a personal perspective, for you as the agency owner, for all of your staff, and for the people that you already serve and who might serve, it's also a very frenzied time of year. And as it gets closer and closer to the holidays, that busyness and that frenzy kind of picks up. And so it's very easy without a plan and without help to kind of get swallowed up by that frenziness. And the tough part of that is that it's also a proven fantastic time of the year to be marketing and doing it in a coordinated way. But sometimes that, the want of doing that and even knowing that you should be doing that gets swallowed up by the frenzy. So working with people who can help you with all of the plan or parts of it, or just getting the plan into place makes a big difference, because you don't want to miss out on taking advantage of such a great opportunity when people are noticing the need for care.
And from a branding standpoint, I'll come back to and say it's very impressive if you keep your brand, you're extending your brand, but you're just adding that little holiday flourish to it. It looks very professional, and it is seasonal, and you go back to your normal logos and your normal branding when holidays are over. But it really does add a very nice personal, professional touch that does strike a chord with people. We have some questions, I think. So, well, that is not a question I can answer. It has to do with something very personal from one of our attendees. So if you have any questions, I think we've done a pretty good job of explaining everything for the holidays. But if you have any questions, here's one. Who do you think is our main target market? Now, that's a very good question. Over the holidays, your target market is going to be both your referral sources and your current clients and your potential clients. So there isn't one main target market. I'm specifically speaking about private duty services here when I say this, because that is really the basis of of holiday marketing is really into your private duty services, not the other kinds of home care. So your market there isn't a one main target other than taking advantage over the holidays. You have that emotional component of the adult child who is coming into the home and discovering something that is bothersome to them, and that will be why they reach out. Would you all answer that question differently?
I'm just noticing that I think the same questioner also mentioned, is it the women above the age 35 target? And on that particular note, what I would say is that especially on Facebook, women in that middle age range, I don't have the statistics right in front of me, but they are the biggest growing users of Facebook, and they use it for liking products, sharing products with other people, sharing information with other people. So that group of women, big users of Facebook, and a reason why, if you want to reach the consumers, that you want to be in front of people on Facebook during the holidays and sharing great information along this timeline that we've gone over today.
And I would say, though, that your target for the adult female child is way older than 35. I think you're probably looking at 55, 65, because the age group that needs care the most is over 85. So if you're targeting a person 35, their parents are going to be 55 and probably still very active, 55 to 65. If you're targeting the adult female who is 55 or 65, then that person's parents are going to be 75 or 85. So it's really, and I will agree, that biggest user market is an older market, and you can reach them very well on social media. One of the other things is some suggestions for staff gifts. I think that's going to be very personal, and I would actually talk to your staff and find out what they want. One year we found that what our staff really wanted, the direct care staff, what they really wanted was gift cards for groceries. So we did that. We did gift cards for gas one year. So I mean, that was specifically asked them what it was they wanted, and they didn't want a physical gift. They wanted something that they could use to extend their capacity over the holidays. Do you all have any other suggestions for staff gifts?
No, I would agree with that, though. Sometimes what you think would be useful to them or what they would like and enjoy is a lot different when you actually poll them, give them a couple different choices. You're often surprised at what they would like. So I totally agree with asking. And asking shows that you care.
Exactly. Thank you for saying that, because I was going to point that out, how special it makes them feel to be asked what it is that they want.
I know one of my competitors one year gave frozen turkeys, I believe it was, as gifts, and it was a disaster, because what they found out was not everybody A, likes turkeys, and B, if they're frozen, then you have to do something with them.
Yeah.
Then you have
they don't like them, or they don't want to cook them.
So
yeah.
I do think asking is really the best thing to do. And there's a question here about the difference in the U.S. aging market and the Canadian market. I do not actually know the answer to this question, so this is a wild guess, but I don't see why it would be different. I just attended the Alliance for Home Health Quality and Innovation symposium on the future of home health care in New York. Just got back yesterday, and the demographics are very clear in my mind again, of what is happening with the aging of our populations, and I feel fairly certain that Canada is I can't see a reason why Canada would be different than the United States. So, but that's a good question. Do you, either of you know that?
No, I can't. Yeah, I think the issues are probably the same. I mean, they're human issues around holiday marketing. You know, people still get together around the holidays and still notice things about their relatives, and that's really what a lot of this is about. And taking advantage of the fact that it is a time of year, you know, that people relate to each other and reach out and expect that out of you. And so it's an opportunity to make relationships stronger, which leads to more trust, which leads to more business.
And I've seen statistics from lots of different countries, and other than Japan being so far ahead of the United States in terms of percentage of those aging, and I believe Canada is the percentage is less than America, but still I think you're going to have the same issues there. So, well, that is the end of our questions. If anyone has a question, a burning question that you would like to have answered, then please just email us. We will send you a little follow-up email after this webinar, I'm certain. And again, we recorded this, so we will be posting it on our corecubed events page. And we certainly appreciate your joining us today. Marissa and Amy, thank you again for your wise information and input that you gave today. And we hope if you are thinking about actually increasing your marketing presence, extending the brand of your agency, and communicating regularly with your clients and your referral sources, that you will contact corecubed, and we would be very, very glad to help you. So have a nice day, and thank you so much.